Ladies and gentlemen, Gungans and Droids, Chaotic Mooniconas, the Rhodians, the Twi'leks, and Hobo 6.9 polygon looking unaligned Force users, to today's video where you and I are going to be doing our initial gameplay review of the latest Conquest character, Ben Solo! Initial impressions, keep this in mind. We're going to wait till Grand Arena for a more in-depth opinion, but I have some fairly good thoughts that I want to share about him. And is he as good as some of the other Conquest units out there? As you know, Ben Solo is meant to be a lifter unit for Galactic Legends Rey. Do they fit the bill? Well, I'll say this. Gary, can we get some gameplay running for these people? The thing that you need to know right off the get-go is that pretty much Ben is allowing Rey to take on Galactic Legends Jedi Master Kenobi. This has not been a good year for Jedi Master Kenobi. Jabba the Hutt hard counter. I don't want to say Rey as of now with Ben is going to be a hard counter, but Rey is now at least competitive up against Jedi Master Kenobi. And it's really the way to describe Ben. He's meant to be a big annoyance. He's meant to be a Night Sister zombie, making it harder for the Kenobi team, or any team for that matter, making it difficult to figure out how the heck do I kill off this Galactic Legends. The thing you need to know to keep it nice, short, and simple, what is Ben Solo doing? Really, there's only like two notable teams he's helping out. Galactic Legends Rey, and later on Jedi Training Rey. We're gonna have some Jedi Training Rey gameplay in case you don't have a Galactic Legends. But basically, what Ben is doing is he's adding an extra level to the Rey puzzle. As you know, there's a puzzle to Rey. You gotta blitz her down, get her in damage immunity, let her get out of damage immunity, then you blitz her down really quickly. But no, there's an extra catch, an extra layer to the puzzle. You can't kill off Rey until you kill off Ben Solo. But you can't kill off Ben Solo unless Rey is under 50% health. And on top of the in Grand Arena, we're not going to be able to see this in today's video, but with his unique ability, Force Dyad, if the enemy in the leader slot begins their turn with Ben Solo defeated, Ben is going to revive himself so long as there's another active ally. So you kind of engage in this Night Sister zombie cheese-like thing. And as you're seeing with the grand majority of these wins up against Jedi Master Kenobi, you're just kind of leaning into the fact that the AI doesn't know how to handle this extra layer to the puzzle. And on defense, as we're going to show later on in this footage, we have some defensive gameplay. Because of this extra layer to the puzzle, it's really kind of mitigating some of the counters that you might be familiar with. Like Sith Turtle might have a potential struggle because now he's got to deal with Ben and Rey constantly reviving Ben over and over again. Or currently with the current Datacron season, it seems like you can't just do a Vader solo because you can't call away Rey because Ben is still alive. Or the Tarkin trick, when we do a massive Tarkin of damage, Rey's gonna still survive because you need to kill off Ben first. So all it is, the simplest way to put it, it's a Night Sister zombie adding an extra layer to the puzzle. He is categorized an attacker, and I have some decent times where he might do a 90,000 damage. Most of the time I haven't been crazy impressed with this damage here. We're gonna talk about mods, Zetas, Omicrons later on in the video, but although he's branded as an attacker, I consider more of a support, adding that layer to the Rey puzzle, and also has a really good buff this spell, which I do quite like a lot, and got some armor shred capabilities on this guy. But the way I'm envisioning us utilizing Ben, and don't get me started on 3v3 stuff, we want to just kind of take advantage of making your opponent, whether offense or defense, having to jump through a variety of hoops to get Rey out of the situation. And there's going to be a lot of ways to really lean into this situation. For example, R2-D2. R2-D2, besides stat sharing capabilities, which is going to be help getting the damage out there, all that other great stuff, stuns in the basic, I kind of like R2-D2 more with Rey lately because you can go ahead, put everyone under stealth, and you can either keep Rey or Ben out in the open. Knowing comfortably, for example, if you put Ben out in the open, so long as Rey's above 50% health, Ben's not going anywhere. He's not going to die off. Or if you're worried about Ben, you put the stealth and everyone, but then you leave Rey out in the open, and they can try to blitz down Rey, but they knock and they're huffing and puffing, trying to blow her house down. But Ben's next door, reinforcing her. So that way, Rey's not going to die if Ben's hiding under stealth, and it leads to a problem where the AI or the enemy just can't get the job done. So I think R2 is going to be kind of interesting to lean into this. And we have another battle here. Not sure if I'm quite sold on it in a 5v5 situation, but one of my favorite characters of this year was Shorty, one of the new droid additions to Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. And what's Shorty all about? Well, Shorty's got this thing called VIP, which is basically a guard that, what Chewbacca has. She applies it to the weakest ally, which means the lowest health protection combined. You can create teams where you can make Ben Solo the weakest. Now, it's going to be kind of tricky because one thing I do like about Ben a lot, his unique ability redeemed. He's going to get an extra 50 speed at the very beginning. So he's going to have a lot of ways to keep his speed up and running. He'll likely technically get 80 speed, 30 speed from Rey, 50 speed because usually you have 5 allies, light side allies on the field. So he's going to be pretty fast, but also he's going to get 15% max health for each other light side member on the team. So it might be tricky to form it, but like in this situation, we put 2 tanks in there. Shorty gave the VIP treatment to Ben. And what happens there, baby? Oh, now we're talking some really interesting droid voodoo magic here. So when you're VIP, when you're damaged, you hide under stealth. And what did we just say? If you're putting Ben under stealth, that means you're not going to kill Rey off because you got to kill Ben off. So it's a way to kind of keep Ben hiding from the opponent, leaning into that Night Sister zombie level cheese. But it gets even better when Ben's under stealth. Or even not when he's under stealth. When you're hitting Shorty, which is already a tough cookie to crack, as we know, she's gonna heal her allies with VIP with extra health protection. So while Ben's under stealth and you're going after Shorty, you can just heal up Ben, and you're just keeping the cheese going longer and longer and longer. So see what I'm getting at? Yeah, he's an attacker, and we think, oh, attacker's damage. He's not a Maul. Yeah, although he does put out the occasional hit. All it is, it's just Rey is always meant to be an annoying galactic legend. A couple of things you gotta jump through hoops. And now Ben's gonna add an extra layer to the puzzle. And you're gonna see this, especially if defense. Master Kenobi beating him, I think it's gonna be even easier once the Omicrons are turned on. But you can't kill her, for example. With Vader, you gotta go through a couple extra loops. Normally, with the Vader cheese going off the datacons, you can just solo a Rey, but now you can't because you gotta get rid of Ben before you get rid of Rey. But you can't get rid of Ben unless Rey's under 50% health. And if Rey's under 50% health, that means she has damage immunity. It just turns into a giant mess. So it looks like Darth Vader's gonna have a complication. Or even Tarkin cheese. Tarkin cheese is really popular right now. The same thing. Even though you were technically nuking everyone at once, you still gotta kill off Ben. So Rey pretty much, she survives the massive AoE bombardment, and she just sits at 1 health, just trolling you. So it's just it's a more advanced Rey puzzle that we got to start solving out there. Now, that doesn't mean she's going to be unbeatable. I'm not quite feeling, again, Grand Arena might pose a different story. Once these Omicrons there's 3 Omicrons, might be a different story, because one thing that's missing in all this gameplay, it's Squad Arena. Unfortunately, Omicrons aren't turned on. You don't get a full picture. Like, remember when Malgus came out, people were like, oh, Malgus is trash. It's like, let's wait till Grand Arena. Malgus is one of the best. I call him a mini galactic legend for Grand Arena. So we got to wait and see, but we're missing the revive potential here. But, it seems like Eternal should be able to still win. You got to be careful because you can't insta-kill Ben. So we were testing that out. For example, Jabba can't insta-kill Ben when the conditions aren't met. Rey's got to be under 50% health in order to insta-kill him. So you got to really just make sure you're paying attention to the field here. And I worry, this is what I'm concerned about. Sith Eternal, Rey's supposed to be his bread and butter. My concern is, usually how the battle goes, Sith Eternal kills everyone off, then he spends the last minute working down Rey. But he's going to keep reviving Ben. Unless you can maybe get that insta-kill lined up properly and make him not come back. Hard to say. Same thing with Jabba. You might think, I'll just use the Rancor on Ben. We're all good. All said and done. We can go home. Jabba's still going to hard counter Rey. I had no problem beating him. But I was like, all right, what happens if we call the Rancor up against him? Same deal. You can't get the insta-kill on Ben. The conditions aren't met. So, not to say Rey's impossible to beat. It still seems like she's going to be definitely manageable, but I think it's more... I think I wouldn't be surprised if I start seeing a lot more Rey on offense. Rey, not really the offensive galactic legend. It's always been a staple defensive galactic legend because it's kind of an annoying puzzle that you got to unwind. But I definitely see Ben enabling us using her more on offense because the AIs just don't quite know how to handle interaction. And if they do, and it's pretty much by pure accident that they accidentally stumbled into the puzzle. That is the Rey, Ben, Force Dyad situation going on here. Still managed to beat it, for example, with Bad Batch, throwing some Bad Batch stuff at it. Got through them pretty quickly. So I'm kind of at this point where, when I look at Ben Solo, there's a range, right? With the Conquest units. The upper echelons, definitely Maul, Commander Tano, Malgus. We can debate what's number one. I always see there's always a debate between those 3. And then you got those middle of the rung fellas. And then you kind of got the lower tier ones. Like, I feel like Boba Fett SWGoH might be the lowest conquest unit we've ever gotten. And then we have those other ones, Cat Maul. I feel like Ben, as of now, is probably somewhere within that first half, 1/3, if we had to kind of put everyone on a nice even line, ranking all the conquest characters. I'm not to the moon about him. He serves a very, very, very specific function. And that is just to make Rey a little bit more annoying, especially in Grand Arena. Not to say you can't use them in territories. This is basically what territory wars would look like, because you're not going to get the revive situation. So you can still maybe take advantage of Ben Solo there. But this is where I kind of want to go into why am I not seeing him as high as some other folks, at least initially. At least with Maul, Malgus, Cat, I kind of saw from a mile away they're going to be some really big hitters for Galaxy of Heroes. Few problems with Ben. Okay, let me can I just point, this is not really material to what I feel about him from a kit perspective. I feel like from a first off, his art is kind of blah. His animations are kind of blah. I'm not a fan of his look. That's aside the point. But he's just a little too focused on just being needed for Rey, and you need the Omicrons on him, which for the first lifter unit we've had for Galactic Legend, I'm a little disappointed. Because Rey and Maul, no Omicrons needed. They were great. And I just try to remind myself, we're in a different era of Galaxy of Heroes. So if you're someone that has that concern that this is our first Galactic Legend lifter unit that is only specific for a particular game mode and needs Omicrons, I feel you. That kind of disappoints me a little bit. That's the direction I took with this first Galactic Legend lifter unit since Maul and Commander Tano. So I think that's kind of where I'm a little disappointed in. Even though he's branded as an attacker, I kind of sometimes get a little disappointed with the damage output that happens there. But I just try to remind myself, and what I remind you guys is that one, we're in a new era of Galaxy Heroes, whether you like it or not. This is the way the developers want to design their game, and it's not going to be as versatile as Cat or Maul for that matter. Next thing on top of that is he's not really an attacker. He's a support character. I think that's the way you got to brand him. So I don't think he's like the worst conquest character. I don't think he's the best. He's filling a very particular purpose, and it does the purpose well. And if you don't have Galactic Legends Rey, it's actually kind of fun seeing him with Jedi training. Rey saw a little bit of gameplay here in the video where I was able to take out a Darth Revan team. That's pretty good for Jedi training Rey. Being able to get out there, he's fast because of all the extra speed bonuses, the extra durability. And the cool thing is, because Jedi training Rey's leading in the situation of Darth Revan, when she has Death Mark on her, you can't kill her off because Ben's alive. So for those that don't have Galactic Legends Rey, but you managed to get him, I can see you getting some use out of this guy as well. Let's talk about Zeta's Omicron's mods very quickly. 3 Zetas on the guy. A lot of materials needed to get this guy up and running here. Again, the moral of the story that's we're going to have here is you're going to want to lean into the whole cheesy aspect of his kit here. And the first Zeta you're going to want to have is the Force Dyad. With the Force Dyad Zeta, again, it's important. This is where you start turning on the cheese. Ben Solo can't be defeated while Rey is above 50% health. And it's got the instant defeat immunity on, which is the anti-Commander Tano. That's one reason why we're able to counter Master Kenobi with Rey fairly well now, because Cat cannot insta-kill them, which is a bit unfortunate. Again, big smack to Kenobi's face. So that's Zeta number 1. The other Zeta I do quite like a lot, Family Legacy. This one's kind of nice. It's the this one right here. If all allies were lights at the start of the battle, dispel all buffs on all enemies, which is great. Deal true damage, and then the allies are going to get 5% Terminator. It's nice, and it can't be evaded. So that's kind of nice as well. Otherwise, if you're kind of short on Zetas, I'd say, oh, right, maybe you guys can kind of, park it, leave it where it is right now. There is one other Zeta that's tied to his kit, and that's Redeemed. Redeemed is okay. It allows him to ignore taunt. And, that's going to be nice for the attacker aspect of this kit. But again, I'm not really seeing him as an attacker. More importantly, I've been getting this question a lot. What are the Omicron orders? I truly think there's really only 2 you need. For sure, 1 at the minimum. Always with these conquest characters, at the minimum, you need 1. This is the one right here. The footage would be a lot more impressive today if this was turned down, which we'll see in Grand Arena. If the enemy in the leader slot begins their turn with Ben Solo under Force Dyad, and there's another ally still active, he revives at 51% health, which is right above that damage immunity threshold, right above that sudden whirlwind threshold for Rey. And all allies gain instant defeat immunity for the rest of the encounter, which is huge. So that means you're not gonna be able to get that insta kill situation off here. So that is the must-have there. If you want to go a little bit further, I'd say there's one other one, and that's going to be Obscured. With Obscured, you're going to constantly reduce his cooldowns by 1. If Galactic Legends Rey is leading, he's going to deal true damage, inflict healing immunity, which is great. for 4 turns, which can't be copied, dispelled, or evaded. So that's the one I applied. Redeemed is the one I have not applied yet, mainly because I don't have enough Omicrons, but I'm not sure if I really want it. He's going to ignore protection, which is going to be great for Master Kenobi, making a lot quicker work, getting through, ignoring all that bonus protection. He can actually maybe get some useful kills. But again, I'm seeing him more as a support role than attacker role. I probably will wait for a little bit and see if I really need it. But I definitely see where the benefit can come from, especially if you're constantly reducing cooldowns on Obscured and you can keep using Family Legacy a bit more often. I can see it being a little bit more interesting. Mods, really quickly here. He's got a lot of special damage. All of his attacks are based off special offense here, so you want to make sure you're looking at this stat right here. Right now, it seems like I'm going to try to lean into the attacker and the support aspect of him being alive as long as possible. We got some offense mods with offense crosses, critical damage. I recommend health on this circle here, offense on the arrow up here, and that's the way I'm going to run it. If you can get as close as 280 as possible, that's going to be great, because remember, you don't need to go into the 300s, a little overkill. Ray gives 30 speed, Ben gets 50 speed, so he's going to have 80 speed on his kit when he starts out the battle. So I think that's something to keep in mind. You don't need to go too crazy on the speeder, and he does occasionally pop the good hit. So, not to beat the dead horse too often, I'm not foreseeing myself being absolutely in love with this character like Maul, Cat, Darth Malgus, but he's serving a purpose. I'm sure he's going to annoy me in Grand Arena. That's the nature of the raid teams out there, but you know what? Time will tell. But I want to thank you guys so much for coming out today. Hopefully, you know, maybe you got a little bit of insight. Maybe you can say, all right, this might be a character I'm looking forward to. But time will tell. History will be written. And until then, we're always going to say, it's great to be in the Empire today.